So the fact that, energy, food, real estate, everything we're having to pay more. It's really truly hurting our pocketbooks. But precious metals are cheaper. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If silver rounds are less than his current average price of his entire stack, he buys. If it's higher, even if it's a couple cents, he doesn't buy. He's very, very disciplined.
Welcome back. We are here once again with Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion. Always a pleasure to have you on. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today.
Awesome. Hey, I want to jump right into it. Yesterday, we saw spot price pull back dramatically. This morning, it jumped almost 70 cents, and now it is coming down again. Can you tell me what's going on with spot price? Give us a little bit of insight here.
Yeah, it has been a really wild week, and I've got that question a lot in the shop, people wondering why. So actually, I did a little research last night just to try to spell it out as simply as I can. Gold hit a 6-month low yesterday of 1,863 per ounce. Silver nearly hit a 6-month low yesterday, Thursday, September 28th, at 22.55 an ounce. The last time silver was that low was actually in June, on June 22nd, and it was about 30 cents lower. So why are the prices low? The easy answer, and we could get into a lot of different scenarios, but the conventional easy answer is the dollar is quote unquote strong.
Yeah.
It's the strength of the US dollar. If you look at the dollar index, which is the DXY, you can Google it and always know what it is. But it hit its year-to-date high yesterday, Thursday, September 28th, 2023. Coincidentally, when it hit its year-to-date high, gold hit its 6-month low, and silver nearly hit its 6-month low. So they truly have an inverse relationship. Why that is, in my opinion, it's kind of phony baloney, because I don't know anybody that believes our dollar is strong, but our dollar is strong compared to other countries' currency. And that's why the dollar index has been raising. It went up 5 days in a row.
Yeah, that makes sense that you say that. When you talk about it's not that our dollar's strong, but I guess compared to other currencies, it is. I know gold's been hitting record highs in like some other major currencies. Obviously, it hasn't done so in the US dollar because the quote unquote dollar index has looked pretty strong lately. So I think anyone who actually goes out and tries to take care of their family and pay their bills and cover their energy and food costs knows a little bit better than that, though. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just, I hear all the time, every single video I do, especially on this topic, I hear how people are hurting. They have had to slow down on, investing in silver. We talked about this in a video, I believe, last week on the channel. I did, at least, about people slowing down for silver. But that's not the case. We were talking before this call. That's not the case up in Minot. So what's going on up there? Because you just told me before we started this recording, guys, he told me that he is having one of his best months ever. So why is that in this downtrend? What's going on to make your shop be doing so strong right now?
Well, that's a good question. Honestly, it's a very unpredictable business. There's been many times over the years where I view it as an incredible time for people to be purchasing precious metal, and they don't for whatever reason. I'm talking when price and premiums are low. Well, that's the situation we're in now, and people are actually buying. As I mentioned, we're going to be near a record month ever for sales in our shop, which is a little unheard of because September typically is a slower month anyway. You're coming out of summer, families are kind of getting into new routines, kids are going back to school. You're not always thinking about metal investing and things like that, at least in our part of the world, but it's been busy. Every day has been busy, and I've been getting a lot of large orders for government-issued bullion, American Silver Eagles, Canadian Maple Leafs. I've sold boxes of British Britannias, Austrian Harmonics. People are loading up on sovereigns, which is interesting because there was a period, 6 months ago where it maybe took me 4 or 5 months to sell 500 Silver Eagles. Well, just in the last 2 weeks, I've sold 6 monster boxes of Silver Eagles.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of crazy. And the biggest reason is, premiums are down and spot is down. So compared to where prices were in the past, at least in the past couple of years, Silver Eagles are affordable again. So I think people that have been patient and just kind of waiting until it hits that price where they're comfortable, and now they're buying.
Yeah, I agree. And I think premiums might be a little high still. Let me ask you before I even say that, when you were selling those monster boxes, what were you selling them for premium-wise?
Eagles, a monster box of Eagles, I was selling at $550 over spot. which is a little under $1 over my wholesale cost. I think I'm paying $4.55 at the moment for strapped boxes of Eagles. Maple Leafs, oh boy, you're testing me here. I don't remember.
You don't have to give me an
I'm
exact
thinking
number.
Maple Leafs were like $1.50 or so cheaper,
Okay.
if I remember right. But yeah, and compared to where premiums were, prior to 2020, they're still high.
Yeah.
But compared to where they've been the last 3 years, they're quite low.
Yeah, pre-silver squeeze, I mean, obviously they were a lot cheaper. I mean, under $4 an ounce, you could get Eagles for pretty much anywhere. But compared to what Eagle prices were back in March, I mean, this is a dang fire sale. I mean, spot and premiums are just nowhere close to where they were. So I can absolutely see, and maybe you can attest to this, I can absolutely see people not just taking advantage of lower prices to just stack more, but also to just lower that dollar cost average, especially if they were buying back in March, April when those premiums were nuts, when spot was higher. This is a good opportunity to lower that dollar cost average.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I know I commented in a recent video I did where I have several customers that have come out and told me that's how they stack. They dollar cost average. And one in particular, he comes in probably twice a week, a lot of times just to chat, but he'll always ask me, how much are silver rounds today? If silver rounds are less than his current average price of his entire stack, he buys. If it's higher, even if it's a couple cents, he doesn't buy. He's very, very disciplined. And he came in this week and bought a monster box of silver rounds because the price was below his average stack.
He won't increase that dollar cost average no matter what he does. I have no idea what this guy's stack looks like, but that's a really cool way to do it, I guess. And yeah, I mean, if you're going to discipline yourself, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, based on what he's bought from me, I think his stack is pretty good. And that's just what I know that he's bought from me. So, but yeah, very, very disciplined approach. And not everybody can be that disciplined. I know I'm not personally. Honestly, if there's things I see that I like, I'm going to buy it. I don't care if it's, a little higher than my average cost or whatever. I don't typically harp too much on dollar cost average. And quite frankly, I have no idea in my personal stack what my dollar cost average is because I'm not that organized. But some people are, and that's great. I think that's incredible that they can be that organized. So, but yeah, that's just one thing I've seen recently is the dollar cost averaging of my customers. And because spot and premiums are, as we discussed, relatively low right now, those people are coming in and adding to their stack because they've been patiently waiting on the sidelines quite a while.
Do you think that over the next few years that, with the dollar and everything going the way it is, I mean, people talk about silver being a hedge against inflation. It certainly hasn't looked to be so over the last couple of years with the massive inflation we've been seeing. Is it just that silver lags behind before it starts catching up with what's happened, or is there a shift here? I mean, do you still consider silver to be an ultimately good hedge against inflation?
That's a great question. I've had that come up in the shop before. There's a lot of people that are frustrated, obviously, because as you said, typically the typical understanding is that both gold and silver are a hedge against inflation. They're going to protect your purchasing power. Well, in times of rapid inflation like we're in right now, it hasn't. In fact, gold and silver, as I mentioned earlier, hit 6-month or close to 6-month lows for silver yesterday, Thursday, September 28th. So the fact that energy, food, real estate, I mean, everything we're having to pay more. I mean, it's really truly hurting our pocketbooks, but precious metals are cheaper. It doesn't make a lot of sense. As I said before, it's because of the quote unquote strength of the US dollar when compared to the other global currencies. And for those of you who don't know the dollar index, what it does, it compares the US dollar's purchasing power compared to, I believe there's 6, if I remember right, other foreign currencies, and that's how they get the DXY. The dollar index, but they compare it to the euro, the British pound, the Canadian dollar, the Japanese yen, the Swedish krona, and the Swiss franc. So compared to those 6 global currencies, and those are highly traded global currencies on the Forex, our US dollar shows that it's strong. Because of that, it takes less of those strong dollars to buy precious metal. Unfortunately, it doesn't take less of those dollars to buy gasoline. It
Yeah.
takes much, much more because of the inflationary environment we're in. Honestly, I think it's temporary. I think gold and silver will always remain good hedges against inflation, but there's times when it's not, and we're in that time right now. I've had many people point out to me, or several, I should say, that, the only thing you can buy today cheaper than you could 2 years ago is gold and silver. Everything else costs more, except somebody did tell me, no, sugar is cheaper. I don't know if that's true, but this was 6 months ago, but I thought that was odd. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I mean, because of the rampant inflation, it's not just in the United States, it's globally. Gold and silver are definitely lagging behind. And that's why I truly believe, for those of you who don't know, I'm a stacker also. I mean, I was a stacker first before I started a business, so I get the frustrations. I mean, you think you're buying at a great time, and then as Silver Seeker said earlier, well, the price goes down the next day, but you really truly have to be patient. I think there's going to be a time where we're all going to be thrilled that we have precious metal, because I think there is going to be a time where we're going to see that not only the protection against inflation, but I think there's going to be times where the value of our metal outpaces inflation. We're just at the opposite point right now. So patience is what I preach, but I know that's hard. That's difficult to digest because us humans typically have short attention spans, and we want quick, immediate results. Well, you're not typically going to see that when you purchase precious metals. It really is a long game that you got to play, and I believe that more than ever right now based on how things are.
Josh, you explained that so well, and I'm going to say I could not agree with you more. So thank you for that. I hope that everyone is watching long enough to see this part of the video because that was great. So thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, guys, we're going to cut it off here. Josh is a frequent guest on the channel. I'd like to have him on once or twice a month. So make sure you subscribe and go check out Josh's channel. He has a great YouTube channel, Minot Coin and Bullion and Minot North Dakota. I will put a link in the description below. Josh, again, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.
Sounds great. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Anytime.